Now on to new revelations being brought to light following the release of thousands of files detailing events surrounding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. According to these documents, just 25 minutes before President Kennedy was shot, a Cambridge reporter reportedly received an anonymous call advising him to reach out to the U.S. Embassy for some, quote, big news. While records show at least 40 journalists had been employed by the CIA, allegedly doubling as undercover agents. Other pages detail possible methods of assassination that could be used to oust famed Cuban leader Fidel Castro. And in 1960, the CIA reportedly considered staging terror attacks in Miami to denigrate public opinion on the communist government of Cuba. Among some of the most heavily redacted documents were lists of individuals in contact with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., details on his relationship to various communist movements and how his international legacy carried on following his assassination. However, many questions still left unanswered. WikiLeaks is offering a $100,000 reward for the files that are not yet released. And we spoke with the host of The World According to Jesse Ventura, for his thoughts on this. Take a look.
Well, you know, Donald Trump always says one thing and does another. That seems to be his forte. He doesn't worry about misleading people very often. My view is this. First of all, if Lee Harvey Oswald is who they told us he was, a little Marine private who became a Marxist, Leninist, or whatever, hated our country, defected to Russia, came back, and then decided to kill our president? Why would anything need to be locked up if you were told the truth? But because they've locked up these thousands of documents, that tells you one thing. You don't lock anything up unless you're hiding something. Now, do I think a smoking gun is going to come out? No, because you can bet this stuff's been vetted. You can bet this stuff. I think what you will learn from it, though, is this. I think you'll learn, excuse me, that leads were not followed, that it wasn't really an investigation, because if the clue did not lead to Oswald, they ignore it. And that's exactly what the Warren Commission did, and I believe that's exactly what you'll learn from these documents, that there were plenty of clues that probably led to other directions, but they were completely ignored, so therefore they had to lock them up so we wouldn't know about them.
Interesting perspective, as always. Now, I gotta switch gears here with you a little bit. Obviously, yesterday, also, the president decided to finally make opioids a national emergency, an epidemic. But we know that you've written a book concerning marijuana and a lot of the benefits to it. We have also found that in states where marijuana is legal, opioid deaths and addiction are down. What do you make of that?
Well, I make it's another lie that's been perpetrated on the American people. For years and years, they told us that cannabis was the stepping stone to heroin. Well, clearly, the facts you talk about right now show just the opposite. Cannabis is the stepping stone away from heroin and away from opiates. So I was pleased to see the polls the other day. 64% of Americans are now for the legalization of cannabis. And wait till you hear this. 51% of Republicans,
wow,
of Republicans are now for the legalization of cannabis. So cannabis could be a cure for the opiates. The National Football League now is considering taking cannabis off the restricted list because of their fear of the opiates. So if the NFL does it, that's more powerful than Trump, the Congress, and the Supreme Court put together.
Wow, that is shocking. Speaking of the Republicans, though, I'm glad you brought that up, because we want to switch gears again here to politics. Let's talk about the GOP infighting. There seems to be two GOP factions here. Would you say that this this infighting will prevent things from getting passed? And if so, how is this going to affect 2020? Are we going to see a way paved for a third-party candidate, a viable one?
Possibly, but I'm going to avoid that question and talk about both parties. What you're seeing today is something that I've been preaching about for 25 years. Both of these parties are as corrupt as each other, and you're seeing it now through the Russian investigation. They're both involved. In other words, and I'll say this, until the stupid people of the United States come to the realization that the Democrats and Republicans have their own best interest in mind and not that of the country. How many times do I have to tell people, stop voting for Democrats and Republicans, vote for anyone else? I've been saying that for 25 years, so I'm ecstatic over this latest stuff, because it shows that both of these parties are completely corrupt, and they will do anything to win, and they put themselves before the country. That's the thing you have to remember. The Republican Party puts the Republican Party before the country. The Democratic Party puts the Democratic Party before the country. The country needs to come first, not the political parties. Read about what John Adams said about political parties.
You know, Governor, you are certainly the only man on television that I know of, or that I can even think of, that can get away with making that sort of statement and not have people throwing tomatoes at you. And one last thing. Tell us what's coming up on your next episode, or next few episodes of The World According to Jesse.
Well, we did interesting interviews with these burn pits. I don't know how many people know about these, but Halliburton, Dick Cheney's company, of which he made $80 million off the Iraq and Afghanistan war, created these burn pits. Over 100,000 of our military veterans are now suffering health trouble. This is Agent Orange being repeated, Agent Orange from Vietnam being repeated today with Iraq and Afghanistan. Again, our country is turning its back on its veterans when they come home. Once they've used them in war, they don't give a damn about them when they come back to the United States. And I just saw a phenomenal movie, and I'm going to pick up a piece of paper here so that I get it right. I want people to go to this movie, and it's called Delay, Deny, and Hope You Die. Delay, deny, and hope you die. People need to see that film.
All right, I'm going to have to Google that one. All right, we are certainly looking forward to the next episode of The World According to Jesse. Thank you so much. That was RT America's Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota and host of The World According to Jesse, which you can catch right here every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern and again at 10 p.m. Thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you.